Back at Lucas Oil Stadium, scoreless at halftime between Indy 11 and North Carolina FC. Tonight, a special night in the history of the Indy 11 as they honor a man that was here from day one, the last original member of the Indy 11 who retired at the conclusion of last season. Brad, 111 career appearances in an Indy 11 uniform, but a legacy that will last forever. A special ceremony is going to take place at halftime. We're going to show you part of the video tribute for that ceremony. So many of Brad's teammates over the years wanted to wish him a fond farewell and thank him for the role he's played in their lives.
Bradley.
Brad the Legend Ring.
Hey, Brad.
Hey, Brad.
Hi, Brad.
Hey, Brad.
Hey, Brad.
Hey, Brad.
Brad, congratulations, partner. So proud of you.
You were one of our all-time greats, a dominant midfielder for IU, and to go on and have a long and illustrious professional career.
You'll always be a huge part of soccer in Indiana, whether it's IU or Indy 11.
Man, congrats on an incredible career.
I was honored to play for you for those 3 years in Indy.
It was an honor and a pleasure to share the field with you, man.
I miss you as a locker neighbor, locker partner at the old Buckshaw.
It was an honor playing with you and learning from you during my rookie season.
If I had 3 words to describe Brad Ring, it would be tenacious, jackhammer, and friend.
Thank you for being a friend.
It was an honor and a privilege to be your teammate, both in San Jose and here in Indy.
You are a true role model and a true friend.
I can't imagine playing alongside or learning more from anybody else.
I just want to send in my heartfelt thanks for everything you've done for me, Brad. You're a warrior, you're a leader, you're a champion, man.
I want to thank you for all you did for Indy 11, growing the sport and making it so popular, both on the field and in the community.
Leave a lasting impact on the entire Indianapolis community.
You arrived in Indy a leader and left a legend.
I know that the legend of Indianapolis will live on.
Congratulations, Brad.
The last shot you see, the celebration from that championship night against the Carolina Railhawks back then, now North Carolina FC. And currently on your screen, the mayor of the city of Indianapolis in Joe Hogsett declaring this Brad Ring Day. His lovely wife Julie next to him, family and friends by his side. And again, this is exactly the type of piece when you're a young franchise that you hope to build around.
Absolutely. Great guy, true professional. In fact, I was texting with John Bush and Tim Regan. Both of those guys have long relationships with him. Said, give me a funny story. I said, we don't have one. He comes to work every day. He does his job. He's just a great pro. So then I text Brad. I say, hey, give me a funny story. He says, you know, my great memories, the BYB was there for me. They cheered on my family. My memories are my kids on the field. All these special things. He's just a quality man and a quality player.
Simply put, he's the best of the Indy 11 in the first 5 years and now year 6 of this franchise. Let's bring it back to present day. Time now for a look around the United Soccer League and the best of Week 8.
Now Morton's coming up, it's headed and in.
Not it back in, Sandoval is there, so is Hamilton, loose in front, it's Freighter! What a hit! New Mexico, England!
no-brainer. Unbelievable at the lab. Juan Pablo Costa with a direct free kick. Chips it. A goal! The equalizer for the captain.
Lomas in. Lomas! And how about North Carolina FC? Lomas with his 6th goal of the season.
Back to the goal scorer. Barnby will try again. And another.
That is absolutely world class. That is much harder than it looks to do.
Didi Traore. Oh my goodness, what a run. Didi Traore crosses. Didi Traore. It is a work of magnificence.
So that was the best of last week. Here's a look at key matches in the Eastern Conference today. First of all, the match that wasn't played. St. Louis FC not supposed to play this afternoon because of flooding in that area of St. Louis. That match was postponed a day ago. Elsewhere, earlier today, Memphis and Birmingham tied at 2. Hartford, their home opener, tied at Charlotte with 1 goal apiece. Nashville, 2 goals to good against Atlanta United. Same for Pittsburgh against Charleston. Again, Indy will be seeing both of those teams in the very near future here in Indianapolis. Quick check now of some storylines across the USL. The USL Academy. There's going to be a platform for all clubs to have a bit of an academy competition at the U13 and U17 level, and the Indy 11 are going to be a part of it.
Yeah, love that. And you can see how important it is when you take a look at a franchise like North Carolina.
And you've heard us talk about the USL Championship, USL League 1, USL League 2. League 1 in its first season with 10 teams. Well, a couple of teams have already been announced as targeting 2020. Another new one was announced this week. They'll be playing in League 1 in Omaha next year.
It's such a great city for soccer with Creighton nearby. You've got so many players there that now have a pro team to aspire to.
So again, that's kind of the look around the USL. Of course, for more, you can always log on to USLchampionship.com. More of our halftime show comes your way next. Highlight stats and a conversation with Indy 11 head coach Martin Runny. Scoreless so far here in downtown Indianapolis.
When medical care is needed, where will you turn? With Community's Connect to Care program, one call or click finds you the closest open appointment. Request a time yourself, or let us do it. From a primary care doctor or virtual visit, to a med check or community clinic at Walgreens. Just call or click. You can go right to our website or to me. Connect to Care from Community.
What if it were your job to make the world a more beautiful, colorful place? At PPG, we think that's something we all need to do. We create, invent, and formulate amazing paints, coatings, and materials so we can make the world run faster, stronger, fresher, smarter, cooler, lighter, greener, and better for the next generation that comes along. PPG, we protect and beautify the world.
When medical care is needed, where will you turn? With Community's Connect to Care program, one call or click finds you the closest open appointment. Request a time yourself, or let us do it. From a primary care doctor or virtual visit, to a med check or community clinic at Walgreens. Just call or click. You can go right to our website or to me. Connect to Care from Community.
Back inside Lucas Oil Stadium. Second half is not that far away as you're watching Indy 11 soccer here on Wish TV and ESPN+. Coaching staff starting to make their way back out onto the pitch for half number 2. You're now back in the broadcast booth alongside Brad Hodder, Greg Rakestraw with you. Overall, your thoughts on the opening 45?
Exciting. I tell you, I think that there have been a lot of dynamic play in the attacking third for the 11, a lot of good chances. I think the chances for North Carolina are something that Indy controls if they can just keep the ball.
And again, what struck me about this first half, Brad, obviously the score says it, but it was so level between these two teams. And we're going to show you highlights, but let's talk about really one of the keys first, which was finding Perez for North Carolina. How did Indy do to combat that?
They did great. You take a look at that first highlight. Hackshaw steps in, doesn't allow him to touch. On this one, it's really interesting. Hackshaw comes out, and Iose tucks underneath to give him cover. And on this one, they try to find the space behind Hackshaw and just overhit it a little bit, and Newton cleans it up.
Indy 11, again, did have a good amount of chances in half number one. You keep creating those in half number two, Martin Rennie's going to be all smiles at the end of this game.
Right. They've done a great job of attacking wide, sliding that ball back across the middle. They're just missing on that final pass.
Iose, we know how lethal that service can be. Cronali got ahead to it there. You'll see more chances, especially that combination of Pasher and Iose from half number one.
And I love it. They're keeping mixing it up here. You got Ina Voltson hitting the ball from 20-25. You've got them attacking the line, sliding it across the middle. There's not one thing that North Carolina can key on.
And again, that was a right-footed shot from Iose. We're not used to seeing that. We're seeing that a little bit more over the course of early stages of this season. To the pitch we go. Time now to catch up with Indy 11 head coach Martin Rennie. Martin, your thoughts on your team's opening 45 minutes.
Yeah, I think it was a good half. We were on the ball a lot. We seemed quite comfortable in what we were doing. We were just off on a couple of balls that went across the face of the goal. But we need to be a little bit more decisive in the final third and make sure we put our dominance on the scoreboard.
Anything from a tactic change you expect to see from either side differently in half number two?
Yeah, I mean, I think for us it's just been a little bit more on the front foot, playing through the lines a little bit better. There's some good space. If we can find the number 10s on the turn, I think they can cause a lot of problems.
Coach, thanks so much for the time. We'll talk to you after the match.
Okay, thank you.
Again, Indy 11 head coach Martin Rennie. By the way, our scoreboard at halftime brought to us by our friends at Crown Plaza, Indianapolis downtown. Let them assist you with your next meeting or event. Dane Kelly, the all-time leading goal scorer in the USL Championship, standing over the ball, getting ready for the start of half number two. No changes from either side after our first half break. Simply waiting for the lines people to get ready. They are. And second half activity about to begin at the home of the Indy 11. These two teams, there are 5 in the Eastern Conference that enter today's activity with 4 wins on the season. Just 2 teams have more than that. New York Red Bulls 2 with 6, St. Louis with 5. So it shows you the value of getting the full 3 points if either team can do that this evening. King applying pressure for Indy. And Met follows up.
It's a good double.
Good recovery, though, by North Carolina FC. In the opening few minutes, really belong to North Carolina FC. Things then leveled out from that point forward. You'd say more numerous scoring chances for the Indy 11. And Newton quickly knocks that ball to Tyler Pasher. And for Indy, this is their 3rd match in the last 7 days. All against teams at the top of the table in the USL's Eastern Conference. Red Bulls 2, Tampa Bay Rowdies, as well as this North Carolina squad. And that's the thing about this homestand. It is all against potential playoff opposition.
Hey, that little sequence there to get out of pressure in the back shows the value of having a goalkeeper that's comfortable and confident with his feet.
Enevoldsen finds Kelly. Kelly off to the races. Kelly sizes him up, and Kelly off the side netting. We've seen Kelly have some spectacular goals as of late. Couldn't dial it in that time.
He's done well to beat a lot of goalkeepers recently, far post. And on this one, Tambakis gave him a small window near post on the ground, and he went for it.
4 goals in 3 games for Dane. From April the 15th through last Sunday, April the 28th. That streak of consecutive goals in games broken, of course, in the 0-0 draw on Wednesday. And that was the first time this year the Indy 11 have not scored a goal in a game. By the way, this portion of the match brought to us by the Denny Companies. Tearing down the past so you can build the future. The attack has definitely been left-sided for the Indy 11 tonight. Playing through the skill sets of Iose and Pasher.
And I'll tell you, that last ball from Mattern to Iose, would have loved to seen how that play would have finished if Mattern could hit the space in front of Iose instead of behind him.
Mattern's had a very good night. But again, there's just been a few key passes that have been a bit behind players this evening. Enevoldsen. And looking for Kelly. Comcia got there first. And Enevoldsen hits this not just over the goal, but over most of the Brickyard Battalion.
Love the mentality, though. Love the mindset. Give me a look. Give me the ball. I'm going to pull the trigger.
BYB giving Tambakis an earful, as they usually do in the second half of matches like this. Again,
what a clever touch.
He's trying to launch the speed of Kelly. And Kelly trying to return the favor.
Oh, my goodness.
Taylor
has, it's 3 times that he has been out of position and used his speed to equalize.
Well, if there are men of the match so far for North Carolina FC, it's Taylor and Guillen.
They've been phenomenal. That was a great serve by Kelly. Enevoldsen made the right run.
Again, it's Iose. His 4th corner of the night. Looking back post, Hackshaw! But again, right at Tambakis. Second time the corner service has been on point. But there has seemingly been a magnet in the gloves of Tambakis on a couple of those plays. Newton watches that go by. Perez will settle. On the volley.
Oh, what a save.
Newton again. Newton has largely been a spectator tonight. Had to come up huge twice. And he and Hackshaw were on the same page there. However, Pasher and Iose combined to give a little bit of breathing room. And that'll be a foul on Pasher.
Wow.
Newton 14 saves on the season, just picked up 15 and 16 right here.
No clear window to watch that ball come through. What a save.
It was from Dre Fortune. Trying to find the back post, and then the follow-up was by Miller.
So don't fall asleep on, don't fall asleep on Dre Fortune. He's only played 96 minutes so far this season, already has a goal, and he just got robbed of a second here.
It's going to work an awful lot like a corner from this spot. Spees plays it in. Hackshaw got there first. Kelly will give chase. And then a giveaway by North Carolina FC. The Sports the Match presented by Community Health Sports Medicine. Dream big, work hard, and finish strong. Frankly, we have not had to see Evan Newton do a lot of that this year. But you know it's there. We talked about this on Wednesday night. We've seen him make more spectacular saves in an FC Cincinnati uniform here than he has in an Indy 11 uniform. That just changed in the last couple of moments.
That ball was in.
Monturn looking for King. King able to keep it in play. Ina Voltson. Down Kelly. And now Pasher forces the mistake. Plays it across, and that will be a corner kick.
I love the way he turns the corner. I mean, he doesn't need any separation. He's shoulder to shoulder with the guy, and he gets in behind him.
It sounds like we kind of quasi knew what we were doing. We featured him in the pregame show. Again, saying that because he did not play that much on Wednesday, that he kind of be the featured piece tonight, and he absolutely has been.
He brings such a spark to the lineup.
Native of Canada, just turned 25 last weekend. He's a young veteran.
He's 25. He's got, what, 150 games or something in this league?
Back post. Hackshaw steers it back in, but quickly booted away. Counter opportunity here. Only 3 behind the ball for Indy.
What a great play by Hackshaw. He stood in the passing lane so they couldn't get out on the break.
Perez, the target. Iose, the first man there for Indy. Kelly couldn't keep it at his feet very long. Fans, you get updates and alerts all year long by following your club at ESPN.com. Search for Indy 11, then click the follow button to keep up with the latest news and scores. Plus, get reminders on the 11's next match. Go to ESPN.com now and click follow for more on your club. Speeds. Mentioned 3 behind the ball. Now that number is 8 for Indy. Good read by Hackshaw. And King there to track it down. Doesn't play like a rookie, does he?
No. I mean, that was one right there. I'm starting to think, okay, that's one too many touches, but he steps on it, pulls it back, and finds Ina Voltson in the middle.
And again, the funnels to Pasher. Ina Voltson couldn't slide it past a pair of defenders. Second year in a row, it appears a rookie's going to make a major contribution for the Indy 11. Nico Monturn was that player last year out of Indiana Wesleyan. This year it's Macaulay King from Young Harris College in Georgia. And again, even at this level, it is getting more and more difficult for first-year pros after even playing at the highest levels of college soccer to come in here and make an immediate contribution. Give me an example of that for North Carolina FC. 2 young men that people know a lot about in this area because they're former Indiana Hoosiers have yet to get a minute for North Carolina FC this year, and Austin Pancho and Timmy Mel. Though Austin did score that friendly against the Liga MX side, Club Nicasa, back on March 23rd. Of course, we've also seen former Hoosiers get plenty of run against the Indy 11 this year as well, with Andrew Gutman for Charlotte on Sunday, Reese Buckmaster for Red Bulls 2. Iose looking back post. Dean Kelly couldn't get to it. It was Brotherton that just got in there in the nick of time. Well done by Cronali.
And I'll tell you, so much of that attacking opportunity came off of Iose's first touch. He didn't kill it right at his feet. He plays his first touch into attacking space so he can attack with his head up and looking at the goal.
Pasher gives it a go.
It's a good hit.
Tambakis down to make the save. That was a tremendous flick by Enevolts to set him up for that opportunity.
Ball's dipping a bit. That's a tough one. That hits just a couple inches in front, and Tambakis has a really difficult ball to try to handle.
And Lomas will get whistled for the foul.
Hey, you know, we talk about what quality organizations both of these teams are and the way that North Carolina builds things. Great organization, and you look at a guy like Ben Spies, great guy.
Neville Hackshaw down on the turf. Trainers being told to hang loose for now. And Neville, let's hope he's all right. What a find he has been. Rough land right in the small of his back.
Ooh, that hurt me up here.
And I can tell you that that's never easy, but again, that's turf that's less than a year old. There's a lot more cushion on that turf than there would have been at this time a year ago. Neville will tough it out. Sports the match brought to us by Delta Faucet. Delta Faucet. See what Delta can do. Neville, native of Trinidad and Tobago, got to play for the national team during the international break. The Indy 11 was off that weekend as well. Kelly. Right idea as far as the target on the pass from Hackshaw, just a bit too hard.
Like that thought.
But that was off by a yard or two from about 60 yards away. Cronali continuing his stellar play from earlier this week. We've seen Dane Kelly be the USL Championship Player of the Week. For a week, he had 3 goals, and it's a little bit tougher when you're those guys along the back line in terms of earning a spot on that team. Given the way the Indy 11 have played defensively this week, there could be a member of the Indy 11 back line on that best 11.
I could see that. You may even get a goalkeeper on there, too.
Now Mater.
Oh, good find.
Kelly gives it a go. Up and over the bar.
Yeah, and I think he could have slipped Enevolts in just behind the defender. That's the thing about both of these guys. They draw so much defensive attention that the other one can sneak away and slip into pockets unseen.
Kelly for that first goal here in Indianapolis. Had a wide open net he missed against Hartford. Hit both posts in that game as well. That set him up for a great run the next few weeks. Here goes Pasher yet again. Able basically to run through a foul, does Pasher. Slides it across, but couldn't get it through. And pounds the turf in frustration into the play. Pasher's well offside, so Iose realizing that. Make sure the BYB is got their head on a swivel back there behind the goal. Fans for standings, stats, all the latest league news. Be sure to visit USLChampionship.com. You see that great fan has the same Brad Ring legend scarf that Brad and I have been wearing on the broadcast tonight. What's your Indy 11 scarf count to up at this point, Brad?
Oh, I was actually going through that in my head today because there were 3 on the kitchen table as I was leaving. I think I'm at 6.
I think I'm about 16 at this juncture. So this half following a very similar pattern to half number 1. First few chances kind of belong to North Carolina FC. Then momentum swung in favor of Indy. And no goals to show for it just yet. North Carolina has scored 3 or more 3 times this year, as have the Indy 11. Hackshaw races back. Perez beats him to it, but was kind of eyeballing where number 15 was setting up and lost control of the ball. Both teams still have their full complement of substitutions, which they can use. Jose plays to the closest option. Ina Voltson makes a run towards the post. Didn't get all of it on it. Kelly! It will be a corner.
2 great looks there.
And Gian and Kelly. Looks like it's going to be a goal kick. I thought there was a signal to the corner flag. My apologies. It'll be a goal kick coming. Let's take a look. And that's the right call in terms of it being a goal kick, not a corner. And again, Ina Voltson was the intended target.
Such a great play by Pasher, too, to look up and find where Ina Voltson was. Find the run. Instead of just knocking that ball across the middle, find where it is and give him a chance.
And Spees having a conversation with Coach Sarakin and company. Talked to Ben for Soccer Saturday this week. And he talked about the different places that David coached and the different legends he had coached with. And I said, all right, is there more Bruce Arena stories or are there more David Beckham stories? And he kind of goes, everybody. He's got a great story on everybody.
Yeah. Well, finish my thought on Ben. I mean, you got a quality guy that finds a quality club. And what I like is how they're using him in the center of their 3 in the middle. He's doing a great job of popping out wide. He's doing a great job of connecting the back line to the front.
Ben played each of the last 2 years with the Indy 11. It was one of the first signees of the offseason. But then his other names at his position started to kind of hop on board. Guys like Kelly, Ina Voltson, Ilya Illich, etc. Well, it was simply kind of best for both him and the club to find another place for him to play last year or this coming season. Pastor's touch a bit too strong, and Gibson. That'll be a foul. Again, there's been so few whistles in tonight's game, and rightfully so.
Yeah, it's been a quality match.
Yep.
And you look at everything that's going on here, all the little games inside the big game. That little one touch by Ina Voltson to free Pasher, that's difficult to do. It's difficult to see it, it's difficult to execute it, and it's brilliantly done.
Well, finishing a thought on Spees. It's the 2nd year in a row that Indy 11 has made a loan deal with North Carolina FC. There was a late season loan deal with Zach Steinberger, who immediately paid dividends for North Carolina last August, September, and onward. And Ben having a friendly conversation with his old teammate Iose, standing over that ball.
I tell you, I like him laying this into the back of the 6, and we met just making a sprint towards that back post.
That's the way he's heading right now. Ball deflects away. Now Ina Voltson will give chase. And will simply let it cross the touchline for a throw-in. This Sports the Match brought to us by Honda Manufacturing of Indiana, official automotive sponsor of the Indy 11. Trying to launch. And there's an opportunity. Hackshaw races back. It's 1v1. Now help from Gibson. The leave, the shot, and it was Spees trying to get one against his old club, and Newton was having none of it.
Yeah, and it's hard to look away from that shot because you're in the center of the goal, but you got Manny Perez out on the right with nobody on him.
Great hustle by Gibson. Never give up on the play. And Newton's been a little more active here in half number 2 than he had been the last 3 halves here at Lucas Oil Stadium. Again, had to make one save playing a man down for 70 minutes on Wednesday night. Substitution about to take place. Graham Smith will enter the match. I think it's like Dre Fortune is the player that will exit. So Fortune had a fantastic shot where Newton robbed him earlier this half. That's frankly the best look that North Carolina has had in this match.
You look at the work that Newton's had to do physically tonight. He had the flip side of that on Wednesday night where everything was solving problems, communicating, organizing, constantly talking to his back line.
And finally, a whistle is blown. I think Iose was thinking a whistle should have been blown a heck of a lot earlier than it was. And that's kind of the first, I'd say, real chippiness or physical altercation we've seen in this match.
Leave everybody. Leave everybody. Leave it. Hey, guys. Leave everybody. Leave. Hey, DJ, leave. Ayo, come on. Come on to me. Come to me. Yes, that's it. Hey, guys. Listen, guys. I'm trying to save you in the field. But I don't need you. Your coaches need it, right? So if you want to play, you play. You want to respect each other, respect. If you don't want to play, you will be out, okay? Shake your hands, please. To me. Come on. Hey, guys. Do you understand me? Calm down.
Sometimes it is a learned skill as broadcasters to be quiet and listen when a lecture is being given.
I really thought he handled that pretty well.
Yep. And our match referee, Sergei Demyanchuk, talking to Perez and Iose. Good read by Wemette. And then King gets knocked to the turf. Who's up, who's down, and where does your club sit? Find out every Monday in the official USL Championship Power Rankings, only on USLChampionship.com. Also want to thank Sergey for having that conversation right in front of our pitch side camera. That helped.
Yeah, holding your breath a little bit, making sure everybody keeps the language in good check.
It's our buddy Rob Lynch manning our game camera tonight. Only worked with Rob about 50 events a year, so not surprised he was on top of it. Pasher able to walk the tightrope on the near sideline. And we're now in minute 71, and Indy 11 still sitting on all 3 subs. Right idea by King. Got a couple of bad breaks. First, a good defensive play, and then the carom of the ball went the way of North Carolina FC, and now they will have a player that will stay down. And with that, ball played off to the side. I believe that's Comcia. That is the player that is, or is that Guillen? I think that's Guillen
too, yeah.
Well, there is that first sub awaiting for the Indy 11, and not surprising, Matt Watson. We figured he might have about 20 or so minutes in him tonight. Again, because of the red card and the tactical switch on Wednesday, he had to bump outside and play that right wing. And he joked with us in the post-match, like, I'm really not sure I know what I'm doing out there. I think he was playing a bit coy. He's been very good in that role a couple different times this year.
He was. I tell you, when you've got as many years and as many games under your belt as Matt Watson has, there's not a problem he can't solve on the field.
He will replace Macaulay King. That sub will go ahead and happen right now. So Macca's game is over with, and one good look on goal, but yet again impressed by the rookie tonight.
Very much. Very much. Did a nice job. Also allowed Matt Watson 71 minutes of rest.
And I've noted this, and every time that Matt has come in as a sub this year, this is his 5th appearance as a sub. As soon as he enters the field, whoever's wearing the captain's armband can't get it to him fast enough. As in, that's how much respect Matt Watson has for all the guys in the locker room.
It speaks so well to his leadership, and the way he communicates with guys. He's always smiling too. When your leader is genuinely a happy guy, that's a good thing.
This Porch the Match is brought to us by Ivy Tech. Careers start here. Apply for free at ivytech.edu. And a foul. Pasher, the party that went to the turf. And that's the thing, Brad, is that I really haven't seen a sign of tired legs from the Indy 11 yet. And part of it is there frankly has not been that much wear and tear and build up before this very busy week. This Indy 11 team has already had a couple of bye weeks into their schedule. They have another one coming up this weekend. In fact, the next home match 2 weeks tonight against the Charleston Battery. And as we mentioned earlier, if it's anything like last year's match here, it will be worth the price of admission. Indy11.com/tickets. All matches kick at 7 o'clock. And another sub about to come in for the Indy 11, and it is Josh Penn. First time we have seen him since March 15th. 18 years old for Penn. He is on an amateur deal. He is committed to play soccer in the fall at Indiana University, but he's also been going through the tryout process for clubs in Europe. It's a reason we have not seen him over the last few weeks. He earned a start in his first match back on March the 9th, appeared as a sub against Charlotte back on March the 15th, and he will be a pro at some point. Frankly, he's playing like a pro right now. It's why he's being put into this scenario where you're trying to find a goal and try to find 3 points against a team you could be fighting for a playoff position with. So his first match on the Lucas Oil Stadium turf. If the ball finds him, or at least attempted to find him rather quickly. Cronali was a target, so was Kelly. With Cronali pushing forward, that forces we met Gibson and Hackshaw further back. And Hackshaw played that ball with his head, trying to get it to Newton. But as long as it was away from Lomas, that's good enough.
Look at the confidence and comfort they have with him.
With him meaning Newton?
Yeah, I mean, they give him the ball under pressure. They give him the ball at tough angles with guys closing him down, and that speaks to what he does day in and day out in practice. And I was talking to Coach Rennie about him, saying, I'm impressed. I mean, the guy's really calm, good on his feet. He says, hey, Jordan Farr's the same way. He said he's just as good.
By the way, the other substitutions likely available for the Indy 11, Lucas Farias, Kenny Walker, and Alioune Jahate. Now, me here said that last time. I said, wait a minute, I don't know we had that guy on the roster. Yeah, it's because you've been saying his last name wrong the last couple of home games. When you sign a guy off an open tryout in January, he may be so happy to be there he doesn't tell you they've been pronouncing his last name incorrectly. Problem here. We'll finish that thought in a moment. Who touched that last? Enof Olsen did. Tambakis didn't handle that the way he was hoping to. And you see those substitutions. And Alioune there on the right-hand side of your screen provided some late-game speed for the Indy 11. And if this game is still in need of a goal, I would imagine he'd be the substitute of the guys that we just mentioned. Enof Olsen to Kelly. Back to Enof Olsen.
Well played.
Kelly left foot. Those chances can happen quickly.
This ball right there starts the whole thing. Great ball, great find.
One more look. Fans, just a reminder, you can tune in this coming Wednesday at 8 o'clock Eastern for the ESPN USL Championship Game of the Week on ESPN2. Tampa Bay Rowdies travel to Music City to take on Nashville SC, a match with two of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. It's the week's best match. Game of the week, Wednesday, May 8th, 8 o'clock Eastern on ESPN2. This is Taylor. Plays it across.
Oh, my goodness. What a serve.
That was not far away from being 1-0 in favor of the visitors. Lomas didn't get ahead to it. Now Ina Voltsen finds the fresher legs of Matt Watson. Back to Gibson. Penn makes a run. Penn goes down, but won't get the call. Martin Rennie not happy about it. And that'll be whistled against the Indy 11.
Yeah, you wonder if that's Matt Watson in the box instead of an 18-year-old.
Right. And there was clearly contact, but deemed not enough to draw the whistle. Player that made that contact, much like Penn, not in terms of his age, but in terms of being a substitution, Graham Smith. Interviewed Penn a few weeks ago on Soccer Saturday, and he graduated high school that semester. He's just focused on playing soccer right now, and he is loving life because that is the case. We saw his potential. Head coach at IU, Todd Yeagley, during our halftime tribute to Brad Ring. Cautiously optimistic that Josh will play for him in Bloomington next year. Perez slides it across. Now Taylor, no window there. Mattern got in the way. The left foot, not on target and not close.
Clever buildup.
Fans, wherever you go, you can take the boys in blue with you. Download the all-new Indy 11 app in the Apple Store or get it on Google Play. Jose, the target. Looking for that diagonal ball to Kelly. And that will be a corner kick. First, we'll see a substitution. Donovan Iwalu will enter the match. And Stephen Miller will exit. Iwalu does have a goal and assist this year. This is his first appearance as a substitute on the season. And Miller taking the slow trot, indicating a road point might be good for North Carolina FC.
It's a veteran move. I think also in a situation where you got to restart a dead ball corner kick, you know, you give everybody 3, 4, 5 extra moments to look at the scenario, make sure you got your matchups right, your shape right, your positioning right.
That was like a home run trot. You're trying to show up the pitcher. That was the speed at which Miller was running. He did get a bit of a knock very early in this match and soldiered on as well. Is there more magic in that left foot for Jose? Up and over the bar. Asking for a corner, won't get it. Both teams with one substitution remaining here in the 82nd minute. And if this match holds in this favor, I'm not sure it's the way you wanted to start the homestand with a pair of draws, but at the same time, I don't think you say the Indy 11 played poorly at all in either match.
Went 3+ hours without conceding a goal.
Also didn't think we might frankly see this long a period of time without the Indy 11 scoring a goal this year. By the way, it looks like Alioune Jahate will be the player that will enter. So again, trying to provide a set of fresh legs. Juan Guerra going over things with Alioune. As mentioned earlier, what turned out to be the last goal of Juan Guerra's professional career came in this building against North Carolina FC to win a 3-2 decision last August. Hackshaw got clipped for his efforts.
Oh, that's a tough one. Took a cleat right on the back of the ankle.
And we're looking forward to having 11 days off after this one. In 2 weeks until the next USL match for the Indy 11. They will play in the US Open Cup. And that match will be at Butler at the Selleck Bowl. Ticket information, Indy11.com. Indy has played there in terms of friendlies before, but it'll be their first match in competitive play at the former Butler Bowl. Kelly couldn't slide it through, but does earn the throw in. They will learn their opponent on Wednesday night. That's when the first round matchups take place in the US Open Cup. USL Championship teams enter in round number 2. MLS teams this year enter in round number 4. Corner kick coming, and again, if you're Iose, he's on the trot, but again, knowing how much mileage is on the legs of the Indy 11 this week, I'm not sure how big of a hurry you are in here. Penn setting the screen in front of the keeper. Cronali stares it in. Hackshaw was waiting to pounce. It's how he scored a couple this year, but ball didn't fall to him.
That was sizing up a little bit like the last one he got.
He scored the first goal of the season against St. Louis FC. Got another one against the Bethlehem Steel. Kelly won't win the foot race. Brotherton got there. And that's going to be ruled to be a, let's see if it's going to be called off the arm of Kelly. Yes, that's what they're saying. Off of his extended arm on a deflection. And now we will see North Carolina's third and final sub of the match. It'll be Robert Christo that will be entering. Dane Kelly has seen his last action of the match. So each team's top scorer will not get into the scoring column tonight. Lomas will exit the weekend with 6 goals. Kelly with 4. Jahate for the Indy 11. Christo for North Carolina FC. Christo, this is the 6th time he has appeared as a sub this season. He's played a total of 89 minutes. He's scored twice.
That's an impressive stat.
So keep your eyes on number 18 in white and gold. Not hard to spot him. He's 6'4" and 205. Played in Italy and Germany the last 3 years, but is a native of St. Louis. There he is. Played at St. Louis University, had 41 career goals playing for the Billikens. So both teams have used their 3 substitutions. What you see is what you get for the rest of the match. And the rest of the match presented by your Central Indiana Honda dealers, official automotive sponsor of the Indy 11. And at halftime, there was 0 stoppage time. I'm not sure there's going to be much at the end of this match either. We'll have a little bit because of substitutions, but Not a whole lot of time left in the offing for either of these two to get a decisive goal. And I think, Brad, in all the scenarios we saw unfold tonight, I'm not sure we saw 0-0 this evening.
No, I thought it was going to be 2-1. I thought there were some goals. I still think there's a goal on the field here.
Maturn. And Penn cannot connect. And again, if it finishes this way, I think it's because these teams are just so even and just so similar in how they play. North Carolina has kind of had the opposite schedule of Indy. This is just their third road match of the season. The flick by Jahate. Enevoldsen is trying to settle it. And then Christo will knock it forward, but nobody on that half of the field currently for North Carolina FC. North Carolina FC came in at 14 points. Indy at 13. Red Bulls 2 entered the weekend at 19 as far as the Eastern Conference table is concerned. Was there a touch there? Ruled to have not been.
Boy, I thought he got it.
Yeah, I did too. Backus certainly has done his job tonight. Now Speeds could connect with the Wallow on the play. Penn lost the control of it. Here's Perez in the 90th minute. Plays it across, and Cronali quickly sends it back. Well, Cronali has been outstanding this week. Penn kind of broke off his run. Jahate won't have time to track it down. 3 minutes of added time.
Tell you, right when Ayoze looked up, he was making that run.
Yeah.
Ayoze pulled the trigger and he broke off the run, and that could have been a really, really dangerous opportunity.
And that's one thing that Penn, as a youngster, only having played in 3 matches, and frankly, the 2 matches that Penn played in, Ayoze didn't play the first 2 matches of the season. It's one thing Ayoze will tell him, hey, listen, I'll find you. Keep going.
Yep.
Because I guarantee you, Josh did not play with a player like Ayoze in his young life.
And you look at that. That was a high back line. It was perfectly set up for that ball and Josh Penn's pace.
Update you on some other scores in the Eastern Conference. Hartford and Charlotte tied at 1. Nashville leads at Atlanta United 2-0. Same for Pittsburgh at the Charleston Battery. That match is a bit behind because of weather. Jahate, can he get there? Got knocked to the turf. Now there's going to be a whistle, and a yellow is going to be for a high boot or for the contact, the high boot. So Jahate will draw the first card of the night.
That's one thing you love about Jahate. He just goes. He just goes.
And made the team off of an open tryout. And because of injuries to Illich and Starikov, he's probably getting more of a look than had been anticipated. Gian taking his time on the throw-in. And Iose draws the foul. A minute at most left in this match. If this score holds, that means the Indy 11 will have not given up a goal at home this season. Also means they've scored just one at home this season, too. Got to get going forward quickly here for Indy. And Enevoldsen have been asking for that ball. Throw in coming here. Enevoldsen wants it quickly, knowing time is of the essence. As much as we're kind of watching the action of the ball, I'm looking at our match official as well. How many glances the wristwatch are there?
Enevoldsen does not miss an open man. He sees everybody.
Don't look at that wristwatch just yet. The lead for Gibson.
What a clever ball
from Jahate. But that's it. Match is over. Well played, hard fought. 0-0. The final score in this one. Martin Running, unhappy about a particular call. Potentially on Penn going down inside of the 18 a handful of minutes ago. So back-to-back 0-0 draws for the Indy 11 here against North Carolina FC. Points for the Indy 11 in back-to-back matches, but not the full 3. Final thoughts on this when we come back as you're watching Indy 11 soccer on Wish TV.
CRV from America's best SUV brand and your Central Indiana Honda dealers.
How smart are IPL's ways to save? Save some money smart? Try Save the Planet Smart. If you follow the IPL eScore plan all the way up to a perfect 10, your home might just be the valedictorian of the neighborhood. Better get your speech ready. IPL Marketplace may be the smartest way yet to shop for energy efficiencies. And IPL Power View is so smart, it lets you see how you compare to similar households. Not like that. Like that. So get smart and get to iplpower.com/ways to save.
For business owners, realizing a dream isn't a 9-to-5 job. Since 1893, First Merchants Bank has proudly championed local business owners through every hour, offering them vast financial resources and local personal service. We believe strong Indiana businesses create strong Indiana communities. It's why First Merchants Bank is open for business, your business. First Merchants Bank, the strength of big, the service of small.
Indy 11 Soccer is brought to you by Community Health. Dream big, work hard, finish strong. Community Health Sports Medicine, official sports medicine provider of the Indy 11. And by your Central Indiana Honda dealers, proud to be the official automotive sponsor of the Indy 11. Time now for our shot of the game, brought to us by West Fork Whiskey, Indiana's premier whiskey distillery. Chance creation was there for the Indy 11 tonight. Just not that goal. That's a good look from Tyler Pasher.
It is a little bit cheeky, you know, from distance. You might be able to catch Tambakis sleeping a little bit, and then it dips.
You've got 11 days till you play again if you're the Indy 11, as Martin Rennie shares a word with former Indy 11 man Ben Spees, along with Juan Garrett, the conclusion of this match. Again, you played well each of the last 2 matches. You troubled at all about not scoring, or is that simply just part of the game?
Well, I don't think you're too troubled about what happened on Wednesday night because, you know, you're playing down a man. So I don't think that actually fits into that 180 minutes of not scoring a goal. We talked about it on Wednesday night, how a 0-0 draw feels like a win sometimes, and sometimes it doesn't. They played well tonight.
Yep.
But it was tilted in their favor.
I don't know if it feels like a loss, though, to that degree.
Nope.
Again, it was a fair result, no doubt about that. So we will have the Central Indiana Honda Dealers post-game show coming up. We're going to talk with head coach Martin Rennie. We'll talk with a man that just earned his 4th brick from the Brickyard Battalion for a clean sheet in Evan Newton. And one more guest will be joining us as well. Be sure to join us 2 weeks from tonight, the next time the Indy 11 are here when they take on the Charleston Battery. But for now, good night from Lucas Oil Stadium, and thanks for joining us for Indy 11 Soccer right here on Wish TV and ESPN+.
Copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League Championship cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League Championship.